Hello, this is Andrew Nathans. Here is Susan Stone with another interview in our series of fascinating folks.
This is Susan Stone with Pawling Public Radio, and I'm delighted to be in the studio this afternoon with Thomas D. Kersting, who lives in Carmel, New York, and is a writer, teacher, and mentor extraordinaire. He retired after 40 years of teaching high school English, and I believe that was in Briarcliff because I know that my daughter had Mr. Kersting as a wonderful, wonderful mentor and teacher. He most recently did a workshop at Arts on the Lake, which is where I saw the information about him. It appeared on our website, and I thought, I know that name. So I'm delighted to have him here in the studio, and we're going to talk a little bit about his transition into this stage of his life and a little bit about what he does at Arts on the Lake. So, Thomas, thank you for coming and welcome to Pawling Public Radio.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Susan.
So I want to start out with really the burning question in my mind, which is, where did the transition come from teaching all those years and really being the chair of the department at Briarcliff, were you not? And then when you gave that up, was it always in your mind that you were going to continue with the writing, or was it a door that just sort of opened? I mean, I really want to hear about that transition.
Sure. Well, I suppose it was very important to me as a teacher, an English teacher, a teacher of literature and grammar and writing all those years, to be a writer myself. And I was. I've been writing for many, many years. For quite a number of years, I was researching a little village in Ireland where my wife grew up. And I've written some about that and published in Ireland in various magazines. Not the least of which, I guess, was the in-flight magazine for Aer Lingus, the one they put right behind the barf bag. I had an article in that magazine some while ago. And I've written for some county magazines over there as well. So I've been writing a long time, and I've been writing memoir of growing up in the Bronx in the 1950s and 60s for many years at this point, just little vignettes that start to come together and are starting to take shape as a memoir.
So you'll be looking for a publisher for that eventually?
Well, at some point, I suppose, but I'm nowhere near that yet.
Okay. But when you do, just know I'll have you back here.
Oh, yes, of course. But I suppose, so to be a practicing writer was very important to me as a writing teacher. So the transition, as it were, was already well in place by the time I decided to retire.
Was becoming a full-time writer, was that an impetus to retire, or were you just ready to make the change?
No, I was just ready. I mean, I had taught for 40 years, and it was just time. And, of course, I have so much more time now to read and to write, and we were blessed with the birth of our first granddaughter just a few months after I retired, so we were able to devote a lot of time to her as well.
Well, that's always wonderful.
Oh, yes.
And so then you've made the transition. I know that you do spend some time up on Cape Cod.
Yes.
Is that with a writing group up there?
Yeah, we have. My wife and I have a condo up in Falmouth, and I've been involved with a writing group in Falmouth at the public library for almost 6 years now. Well, it is 6 years now, I suppose, and that's a group I work with once or twice a month throughout the year.
So you go up there?
Oh, yes.
Regularly?
That's right, yes. And, the Cape has its own stark beauty throughout the winter as well.
I also know that you seem to do the same kind of thing, working with writers at Arts on the Lake on a regular basis.
Yes.
I want to know about that, because you just did a workshop about memoir.
Yes, writing memoir.
Writing memoir, and that was last weekend. And that was an outgrowth of what you've been doing?
Yes. Just coming up on a year now. Next month it'll be 1 year that I started a writing group at the lake called Lake Writers, and we meet the first Wednesday of every month. And it's a good group. It's pretty much honed down to a group of about 10 or 12. Although I think we're going to pick up some more from this workshop this past Sunday. But it's a good group that's begun to gel. The chemistry starts to work, and people begin to feel comfortable that their writing is going to be supported and not attacked. And there's a diversity of writing. Some people are writing mystery thrillers. Others are writing memoir. Someone is writing accounts of growing up in Portchester during World War II. And these are all stories that have to be told. Everyone has a story to tell, and really when it comes down to it, Susan, you're the only one who can tell your own story best.
Now, the people who are involved in your workshops and your writing forums, are they looking to eventually publish, or is this mostly something that they want to do for themselves or to preserve for family and children?
I think it's a blend. Most people who write do so because they have to write in some form. It's a form of expression. You have to get it down on paper or on the screen, however it works. Some people are interested in publishing. Some people have already self-published in some cases. One of our writers is a stand-up comedian, and her work is absolutely wonderful. So people write from a number of different angles and for a host of reasons. Some published, some not quite there yet, some starting to think about that. So often people approach these groups with some degree of trepidation, feeling that perhaps they're not up to snuff, not up to the caliber of writing. But we find, of course,
that's what I wanted to ask you
yes.
about. A lot of people don't feel that they have something to say but don't know how to say it and don't know how to begin to say it.
Sure.
So are you able to work with writers in your group at all levels? And
yes.
Are they all welcome into that one group, or do you have more
Absolutely.
than one group?
No, absolutely. It's all one group. And as I said, people work from different angles. Some people are writing memoir, some are writing history, some are writing fiction, some even are writing poetry, and as it turns out, stand-up comedy.
Now, I also know that you have a blog.
Yes.
So tell me about how that got developed and what purpose that's serving for you.
Well, the blog is really just an outgrowth of my own writing and wanting to have a place to put it out there a little bit. I have a very small following of about 12 people. Many more are welcome. The blog is thomasdkersting.com, and it's just occasional thoughts, observations. As one of my friends recently put it, I love your rantings. I don't quite think of them as that, but they are occasional, too occasional. I want to write much more often. But again, it's just a place to put it out there and have an opportunity for people to read and respond. And
your blogs specifically are just about ideas that pop into your head or feelings that you have about things going on?
Yes. A lot of them are kind of seasonal observations. I was writing one the other day or last week or so about realizing that now that I have a landscaper who can, in fact, cut the grass and tend the lawn for me, and blessed to be able to afford to do that. But in the old days, I would have to do it myself, and it's only a half-acre property, but it felt like forever to mow it and to trim it and so on. But I would notice every year that the earth was subtly shifting. The contours of the yard would shift where there might have been a little rill, a little rolling lump in the yard. Now maybe there was a deeper one, or perhaps not quite a crevice, but a little incline or decline. I always marvel at that. What's going on beneath the earth? So I sort of played with that for a while and took it as a metaphor for the changes that we undergo in our own seasons.
I was going to say that's a perfect metaphor for what all of us go through as we,
Sure.
I hate to use that word age, but that's what we're all doing.
Yes.
So, well, this has been delightful. So I'm not going to put you on the spot right now. I will wait until the interview is over before I actually ask you if you'd be willing to come in and record some of your musings as a regular spot on our programming. I think it would just be wonderful.
Yeah, that's not putting me on the spot at all. I'd be happy to do
I think that
from
would be
time to
wonderful.
time.
I would be wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you, and now I hope we'll get to see each other more often.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you again, Susan, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned, please, to Pawling Public Radio, 101.7 FM in the Village, and streaming on pawlingpublicradio.org. Click on Listen Live at the banner on the top.